Music Podcast Series 2. Oh no, OBS is freaking out. It wasn't showing Discord on the screen, but now it is. I fixed it. Anyway, this is, Music Podcast Series 2, where we listen to and review entire band discographies. This time around, we are doing Bring Me the Horizon. We're doing their 2008 release, Suicide Season, their second album, to follow up Count Your Blessings. Going through some background info, reading this directly from Wikipedia. Album released on September 29th, 2008. So kind of getting close to the album's birthday. Mm-hmm. Album shows a major change musically from their previous release, shifting from deathcore into metalcore. Be the last album to feature Curtis Ward on rhythm guitar. Later on, after the album initially came out, they released a 2-disc special edition, which features various musicians and producers remixing tracks off the album. That's called Suicide Season Cut Up. Definitely recommend you check that out.
Absolute fucking banger. I listened to several of those unironically. Absolute bangers.
Yeah. So after the band released, it's doing that thing again where it doesn't want to show Discord, so I have to fix it. There we go. Oh, okay. So if I have a window on top of the full screen Discord window, it just doesn't show anything in OBS. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's real.
I know that now. Anyway, so after the band released their first album, they began to experience extremely hateful reactions from people to their music and cited that very few publications would feature them. The band had gathered strong hatred from quote-unquote proper metalheads. So at some point, the band opened for Killswitch Engage in 2007, and the crowd began throwing bottles at them before they even started their set. So when they were starting to record Suicide Season, they were like, okay, this is make or break for the band. And I would say they did good. They did good.
It is wild to me how many people, like, reading that and then just knowing the amount of people that want them to go back to this. Like, not for all time, but just, like, occasionally. Like, it's surprising to try and think of it.
I was looking on Setlist FM at, like, previous shows, and I think it's, as of recording this, it's maybe been, like, 5 years or so since they've played stuff off the first two albums, and they usually do it as some kind of medley. They don't do the songs like full thing. It's usually like mixed together with the other ones.
Yeah, it's remixes of Chelsea Smile, like 99% of the time that ever shows up. I remember that you mentioned that tour with Killswitch, and they did a couple of shows on that tour that like were not big stadium events, right? I shouldn't even say stadiums. Like they weren't even like huge stages. So I had a couple of friends that actually like introduced me to Bring Me the Horizon because they went to go see that Killswitch tour. They saw them in a fucking bar basement, like just disgusting dredge hellhole kind of thing. And that's where I got introduced to Bring Me the Horizon, is because they're like, holy shit, these guys were good, go listen to them. And I remember that like they came back and told me like, yeah, everybody hated these guys, but we thought they sounded really good. They were throwing stuff, they were angry, they were miserable, they were like, you know, raging against them. It was awful, but they sounded really good, so we're listening to them now. And like that was the whole thing that surrounded this album, which it's really cool to hear you reference that.
But anyway, that's all the background info I'm going to go over for the album, so we can get right into it. So, track number 1, The Come Down.
Okay, before we start recording, the moment the song ended, I have the football game turned on just like real quiet next to me, so the moment the stream stopped, I heard whopper, whopper, double whopper.
Oh my god.
Anyway, you're good.
All right. So I think comparing this to the last album, this is way more palatable. So like while this was where I got introduced to Bring Me the Horizon, I also know that this is the way that I've broken other people into the same band. So like my dad, for instance, right? Like he grew up on like all kinds of like old school metal, you know, Metallica and Megadeth and like the old school like metal music, right? And like this is the place that you can kind of break him, like people like that, into this genre. I really think that this song is a solid start to the album. I think that there's it, while it's heavy and it kind of like you can understand where it came from. Count Your Blessings. It's also a very, very different sound. I think we lost a lot of the guitar instrumentation from the last album, but it's much more chuggy and churny with the guitars, and this album becomes much more percussive. The sound gets a whole lot cleaner to make a really like fleshed out sound. I really think this is a solid start to this album.
This is definitely a solid start. You can definitely hear just the simple like how better this sounds than the last one, just in simple production value. Ollie's voice is not garbled, mixed in with barely distinguished blast beats. And this time, I mean, his vocals are still pretty growly. They're I mean, he is definitely leaning more into his like kind of like a scream more than a growl kind of. You can still hear that it's painful to hear him sing sometimes, but this is definitely much more palatable and much more easily accessible, I'd say, for people than his deathcore growling. Yeah, this so far shows, growth or difference from the last album a whole lot more. Well, the very chuggy breakdown, lot of a less use of the blast beats and those death metal riffs like Ted mentioned. I mean, it's a good start to this album so far, and you can tell that they definitely like paid attention to metalcore like songwriting or like song structure, because they definitely have put in those for having done a deathcore album to then come to a metalcore album, which I mean, yeah, they're very much in the same kind of subgenre. They did a pretty good job of transitioning over, I'd say.
Well, I can safely say that compared to the last album, I actually like this one. So there's that at least. I don't know. Deathcore's not really my thing. I may have mentioned this previously, but I'd say the closest thing to that genre that I even remotely like is cattle decapitation, and I don't know what it is exactly about that band that I like compared to other bands that do similar things. I genuinely could not tell you. But as I've never been like a huge metalcore fan aside from like 10 years ago in high school, and then I kind of fell out of listening to that and started listening to like more electronic stuff. I don't mind going back to this stuff because sometimes I do still enjoy it, and it's been at least 10 years since I've last heard anything off of this album, and yeah, I can still say it still holds up after all this time. It sounds like it might have come out like last week, honestly. It's just right out of the gate, really solid. It goes hard. What else do you need? It's good. All right, track number 2, Chelsea Smile.
So we mentioned it a couple of times the last album that like there were a lot of tracks that had like really sad, depressing, angry themes. And much like you mentioned on the last track, Conley, I think like Ollie's change in his like vocalization of these songs matches the trend here a whole lot more. While there is some growling, some screaming, it sounds like higher pitched and pained. Like you can hear how it's hurting his voice still. It's still awful on his vocal cords, but also like it's such a register that like you can feel his discomfort with that match the lyrics that he's singing. But overall, I mean, like if you're into the genre, this is a quintessential track. I mean, this is for all intents and purposes a classic, man. Like this song is still in all of my regular rotations. I absolutely love this track. I love the way that they introduce the synth into the music that like kind of adds something different rather than just churning guitar and lots of percussion and blast beats and you're just loud. There's a whole lot of change throughout this track. I will love this song until the end of time.
This is definitely the most accessible song that you could say they've made up to this point. This is probably the closest I think we've heard up to this point that of Ollie getting towards his clean vocals. This is about as close as you get so far. Like Ted said, you can still definitely hear the pain, but it's not as bad as this last album. But also you can just hear the pain in like the lyrics themselves. Ollie does usually he does a very good job of displaying his emotion in his lyrics and songs. Not to mention, he's grown a lot. Maybe not grown, but just decided to actually give a shit about the song structure, because the fact that he, I don't know, maybe learned what a chorus is, so that now it's like, this is what makes a song super fucking catchy. And then he repeats the bitch like 5 times, but he got it. He fucking got it, because yeah, this is like a metalcore track that really defines the kind of like middle to late 2000s.
So I actually noticed some callbacks to Pray for Plagues off of the last album. So a couple of tracks on the song, Eradicate This Disease is getting worse. Count Your Fucking Blessings is now I've counted my blessings, and Pray for Plagues now Pray for Forgiveness. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, this is I think compared to the last album, like way more upbeat. It's way more accessible. I definitely prefer this sound over the last one, like way more. This goes hard, man. I don't know what else I need to say, honestly. It's a really good track.
You know what I love to do with like all of Bring Me the Horizons, but not just them, all metalcore and like deathcore, is I love listening, especially during the breakdown, for when you just know they purposefully are waiting for people to do like a wall of death or something.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like the one line, the first pray for where it just cuts off. I'm like, that's the point. That's the fucking point, that there's a wall of death or just some shit that goes like there's a moshing that happens, right? I just love looking for that spot.
Right before the repent breakdown, there's intentional silence so that there can be some hand gesture to just fucking erupt, dude. It goes hard.
I love it. Yep.
I love that bit near the end where it does kind of like the orchestral like instrumental bit, and then it like goes straight back into the chugging after that. Oh, that's so good.
And it's such a good transition too. It's so clean.
I love that even now you can kind of... I love how the last album was very, very, like, central deathcore. Like, they didn't really deviate from that very much. And this is metalcore. It's very distinguishedly metalcore, but they've also already thrown in electronic, like, elements. Like, they already have synths and other, like, those kind of things in here, which is very interesting.
Like that bit where his voice was glitched when... at the very beginning of the song where he says, I know something you don't know, and when he says no, it's, like, glitched a little bit. Alrighty. Move on to track number 3. It Was Written in Blood.
That it was written in blood.
So I hate to bring up the previous album again since we're reviewing this one, but I think it's an important comparison here because the last album had a whole lot of energy. Like, granted, it was aggressive, it was super in your face, it was just loud, lots of noise all the time. The previous 2 tracks were energy and the idea, much like Conley said, that like it's for a show kind of energy, like enjoyment of the music and passion and just exciting. And this one just kind of slows things down, but not in a way that is super slow. In a way that like very, very much distinguishes the parts of this song. The verses, the chorus, the bridge, they're all super separate. They're all very different tempos. They all bring very different vibes. This song has the ability to get you going during certain points, but it also slows it down in a way that brings you to what's important and their passion and the emotion that goes behind this song. I won't say that this one goes hard, although it's one of my favorite tracks on the album. It just... like, it very intentionally draws you towards what you should be feeling at any given point with any given lyrics. It does a good job at drawing you to what they want you to feel. And I think that's really masterfully constructed compared to both the last album and the first 2 tracks from this one. Like, they really get you to where you want to be at certain points of this song, which is, I think it's just, it really speaks to Ali's ability to write songs that aren't just be loud, be angry, yell at people in a really meaningful way.
We have seen at this point now a song or 2 where Ollie has very little to, in this one case, no growling. Yeah, he's still screaming, but in this case, it is very much to his benefit of just sounding very painful. And this is, no matter how damaging I know it is, this just sounds so raw and so emotional that there's almost some kind of respect you gotta have for him for doing it, but at the same time, it's like, be smart about it. But goddamn, this one was really good, honestly, just lyrically as well. I think, even though it has a lot of repetition, I think it's got a lot of symbolism that we also start to see from Bring Me the Horizon a lot after. Last album was very cut and dry with the imagery. It was, you know, not necessarily the most appropriate imagery, maybe. I mean, this one isn't necessarily age appropriate either, but it's a hell of a lot more symbolic, I'd say. Yeah, there's nothing much else to add. I mean, he definitely did bring the tempo down, which was nice. It's a nice little break from hearing the very much more up tempo kind of stuff.
So, according to Genius, this song is heavily inspired by the final poem by Sergei Alexandrovich Yesenin, with a lot of the lines in the song being directly from that poem, also referencing the fact that the poem was literally written in blood. The final line on the album is a soundbite that says, "I love the sound of breaking bones," and that is taken from the 1984 film The Toxic Avenger, which coincidentally and appropriately, on the remix album Suicide Season Cut Up, the following track that comes after this, Death Breath, is written by a French DJ of the same name. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Really fucking cool. The imagery, like the poetry that you mentioned there, Mike, I think is super cool too, because I think it influences, instead of just being loud and angry and mad at women like we got in the last album, like it serves the purpose of like, hey, we understand culture and we're trying to involve different things. Like, I think it makes for like much more interesting music rather than just loud angry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, song is good. All right, so yeah, track number 4, Death Breath.
I would go to fucking war for this song. No exaggeration whatsoever. This is one of my favorites on this album because it is super high energy, super like fast tempo, like go get right into it, super upbeat and hype. I absolutely adore this song. I know that it's repetitive. I know that it's simple. Something about this song just really hits me in all the right places, that I just love everything about this track. I think that the lyrics have a sense of, like, the verses specifically are just like, hey, let's go have a fucking party, nothing matters. And then the choruses are kind of like, hey, it's okay if I die so I can party as hard as I want. And it's all just kind of on the same theme. I think it fits the album. I think it fits where Bring Me the Horizon is at this current point. This track just goes so hard. I absolutely love this one. Genuinely one of my favorites on the album, if not my outright favorite.
Yeah, this one is what I would probably call like a dedicated like circle pit song, because like the second this one comes on, I'm like, if there aren't already circle pits, Ollie's calling for them to happen right about now. Because this one just feels like the kind of song that you could run like forever. Fucking like, if this song's playing, you just stamina unlimited. You're sprinting in that goddamn circle, and the next thing you know, it is like 2 days from now. This is a very energetic song, and I really like that. Not saying that the other first two haven't been energetic, but this one just has that something. You're right, that just kind of pushes it over the edge, I guess. Yeah, this is a really good song, really good metalcore.
I don't know. I'm not really feeling this one, actually. Not that I like hate it outright or anything. I just don't think it's like quite as good as the other two. It's still like a solid track. It's just, I don't know, something about it not quite as good.
I will give it that, like, it's certainly less iconic, right? Like, there are people that, like, every time a Bring Me the Horizon album comes out and they post their shit on Instagram, somebody in the comments is gonna be like, this doesn't sound like Chelsea Smile, something's wrong with you, right? Like, it's certainly an iconic like track, right? There are pieces of this album that people really cling to. I don't think that Death Breath is quite up there with that, like, people want that sound again, but this is everything that I want from this era of Bring Me the Horizon. It's high energy, it's upbeat, it really punches you in the teeth about let's go, let's party, everything's fucking a riot, let's do it. I just it really hits me in all the right ways.
Ready. Guess we can move on to track number 5. Football season is over.
All right, this one is not a good track, not a bad track. It just exists. It makes me giggle so fucking hard. This song is the same kind of partying. I didn't even realize that the beginning had actual words instead of just shouting at you, but it's great. I just like if this song is not a party song, right? Like the idea is okay, I'm gonna read some lyrics here. Empty files, empty promises. The hardest part of today is a hangover. I got every person I need. It's gonna be a hell of a messy night. I can't remember last night. Turn this shit up. Party till you pass out. Drink till you're dead. Like the consecutive fucking lyrics. This song is like it just the same reason that like Death Breath pumped me up and just go get it. It amps you up and there's a whole lot of hype and it's just like about partying and not giving a shit about life. That's what this is. The other cool thing that I want to point out about this song is not necessarily the song itself, but the past few times that they've done this song live, instead of the like guest vocalist that they bring in for parts of this song, they actually use Ollie's dad. So Ollie's dad is just coming in and just be like, party until you die! And it's the best fucking thing ever, dude. I absolutely fucking adore it. Instead of listening to this track like as it is, go listen to the live versions of this track with Ollie's dad because he's just got his arm around his dad just screaming about party until you die. It's the best.
Fucking hell yeah.
Incredible.
I mean, what can I say? Ollie says cunt in a song, and I like it. What can I say? The other one is whenever he does it in Antivisit. That's one of my favorite goddamn songs off that album. I will die for that fucking song. This one is fucking fun. This one is just fun. And I have to point out that the guest vocalist, JJ Peters, is from a Australian hardcore band named D's Nuts.
These Nuts also genuinely, unironically goes hard. Like, listen to them; they're fun and enjoyable.
I love it. This is a good one. This is a lot of fun. It's very much a short party song that you can just tell they didn't give a fuck about, and it's a lot of fun.
So looking at the thing about the guest vocalist, apparently they originally wanted Andrew WK, which I think would have been equally as good.
Yeah,
honestly.
And probably, yeah.
And apparently the title of the song refers to Hunter S. Thompson's suicide note, because that's what he titled it.
Oh.
Respectable.
Yeah.
But yeah, the song goes hard as hell. It's a dumb, fun party song about getting drunk as hell. What else do you need?
The last line is, I'm so drunk I can't even see anymore, which sounds like they genuinely ripped it out of a bar instead of being like intentional vocals. It's the fucking best, dude. I love this song so goddamn much.
So, according to a Kerrang interview, they were drunk while recording this.
Yep.
So, check this out. Yeah, song good. Alrighty. Track number 6, Sleep with One Eye Open. Fuck you!
If you're looking for the sound that we got from the last Bring Me the Horizon album, this is as close as you're gonna get. There's some thrashy, outright, just grind through everything. The lyrics are pretty similar because it's very clearly like angry revenge, I'm angry at you, fuck you kind of lyrics. I still think that this song goes hard. I appreciate the fact that it's like, it feels shorter than it is. You kind of get through it in a way that like, hey, I've gotten the angry revenge stuff and now I can move along and it's only 4 minutes of my time and it's great. I know that a lot of people love this song off this album. It's probably towards the bottom half of this album for me, but honestly, still really goes hard. And much like you said in the last one, Conley, like at the end, best friends means forever, cunt, and those are genuine from this song, and that's how it ends. It bangs. Like, can't help it.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say I have two things. First, one, Ollie says cunt, therefore I love it. Second, I guess this person wasn't a true friend because I thought true friends stab you in the front, Ollie.
That's jokes for the future.
Yeah, that'll hit in a couple weeks. It's one you let simmer. This I don't know what it is. Ollie is my favorite when he's just at his angstiest. I love the intro. Fuck yeah, this whole album is just oozes the shit that I love from Ollie. Maybe it's also why you can tell that I enjoyed deathcore, that I really like this one and the last album, to be fair. But how this two songs ago, that is like this song for me, or this is that song for me. This is just one that I could fucking get up and listen to and just go hard on. This is a good one for me.
So yeah, this is, like you said, reminiscent of the last album, except it's tolerable. I don't mind this one. Not my favorite. I don't hate it, but it's okay. And that's
fair.
That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus points for saying fuck at the start and cunt at the end. Alrighty, track number 7. Diamonds Aren't Forever.
All right. I want to preface this before I talk shit about this album or about that song. That this is the one song that I wish that I could see live from Bring Me the Horizon that I know they're never ever going to do again.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Look, this song is super repetitive, super churny, just blasting in your face, loud noise, much like the last album. It's way less complicated than everything that they've done the previous 6 songs. I know that it's a metalcore classic. I know that, like, boy, if you were on Tumblr during this era and anyone Bring Me the Horizon was something about diamonds in the sky, and that was every single fucking username of everyone who liked Bring Me the Horizon. It's a fucking thing. I like the way that they play with sound and like empty noise. There's one point specifically in like the last time that they use the chorus that the sound like intentionally glitches and it sounds like a record skipping. I think it's I think that like the places that they use synth is super cool. I think the chanting at the beginning when they use the chorus just over and over and over again, and it's like gang vocals rather than just Ollie. I think there are lots of really cool parts of this track, but this is just super churny and repetitive and not my favorite thing in the world. I still really want to see them play it live because I feel like it would be an absolute fucking party, but this is probably towards the bottom on this album for me.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is repetitive. I kind of like the almost kind of progression in the chorus where it's technically all one block of chorus, but you can you hear him transition from his singing into like a more of a screaming, and the instrumentals come in. I think that's kind of cool. I do think that this would be just my favorite fucking song to hear live. Like, this would be such a fucking amazing song to hear live. I also I didn't realize this before. I didn't know that Rihanna was a Bring Me the Horizon fan.
You what now?
Rihanna has a song called Diamonds, in which one of the lyrics is shine bright like a diamond, diamonds in the sky.
Right. Checks out, of course.
Yeah, of course. I never knew that. To be honest, this one it kind of feels like a guilty pleasure. Like, I don't think I could listen to this like over and over again, but for hearing it once, this is another one that could get me hype if I heard it.
So this is Ollie is very proud of his chronic insomnia, the song. I actually like this one a lot, even though it is kind of repetitive. I really like it. I don't really have much else to add. I just like the song.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I genuinely like whenever I can't sleep and my insomnia happens, I will genuinely say sleep is for the weak, like unironically because of this song. It's real and genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are getting pretty close to the end here. 2 more after this one. Track number 8, The Sadness Will Never End.
All right. First off, I want to give a very big shout out to Sam Carter because he adds so much to this fucking song. Architects bangs. You should go listen to them if you haven't. Absolute fucking bangers only. So this song sits in a very weird place for me. I have put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into listening to this album long before we recorded this podcast, and this one probably takes up the most time for me, to be completely genuine. I love the song as it is, but I also believe that the most important and influential way to listen to this song is to recognize the lyrics from the rest of this album and to come to this as a culmination point. This one feels more sad, more emotional, more intentional, more you're supposed to hear the things that are going on than anything else that Bring Me the Horizon has ever done before, during, or after this album. I really love this track. I know that it's repetitive. I know that it's not the best sounding one genuinely, but it strikes the notes that it wants to strike. It's very intentional. I really love the way this song comes across, especially at this point in the album.
Yeah, this is definitely less angsty and well, I wouldn't say maybe less angsty, but less explicitly angry and very much more into that very sad kind of territory. And yeah, Sam Carter does so much. Architects is another essentially like metalcore classic at this point. So hearing them both on the track, it's really nice and kind of fresh to hear another, vocalist alongside Ollie that is very, very prominent in the metalcore space. I don't have much else to add other than, this one was good. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, same here. Really solid track. Another favorite off the album, I think. Not really much else to say. All right. So, second to last track on the album. This one's a mouthful. The background info on this song is also interesting, but we'll get there afterwards. Shortest track on the album at just a minute. This is, let me make sure I get this right. No need for introductions. I've read about girls like you on the back of toilet doors.
Backs of toilet doors. You were so close.
And whatever, close enough.
So in the last album, I know we talked about the idea that like they just kind of threw in a track or two to, fill out the album so that they could meet a deadline. This feels like that track. It feels like, hey, this album is like 42 minutes and they told us 43 minutes or else. Let's do this thing, right? I encourage you to go and look at like the either the genius or some background about why this track exists and why after everything you put me through, I should have fucking pissed on you. Direct quote from the song. It starts with a piano that I think is kind of cool. It adds some slow pace, and then it just thrashes at you, and I should pee on you, and then it says thank you, and they leave. And like that's the whole fucking thing. I think it's very funny that it's just like, hey, don't sue me. You're a piece of shit. Fuck you. And that's just it. Like that's the whole song. I love this. I love the fact that this exists. Even if the song sucks, I love that it's real.
Just to note that beginning piano is actually from an ad for a Prada perfume or cologne. Yep. It's called Prada Infusion d'Iris. It's very interesting because all the fucking comments on this video is just bring me the horizon, bring me the horizon, bring me the horizon. It's like, okay, guys, there's other people that probably like this fucking. Well, it's an ad. I'm not sure how many other people can like it. This was very fucking just kind of funny, I guess. This definitely felt. I agree with Ted. This feels like they were told they needed a little extra runtime. And as kind of a way to say, you know what? Fuck you. We're doing it, but we're doing it in deathcore because fuck you and everyone else because that's what you told us you didn't like. That's how I view this 1 minute of just piano ad into this one's funny. This one's just funny.
Yeah, this is a track that exists. The background info on this, just to give you the short version, basically, Ollie was accused of supposedly urinating on a fan. I don't know that this was ever proven true or not. So they made this track as kind of a fuck you or something.
He was acquitted for, you know.
Yeah.
Like it didn't actually. Yeah, he never convicted.
Yeah. So this is just a fuck you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is
But
good.
The fact that he's acquitted and then says, "But I should have pissed on you," is hilarious as hell. Like it makes it all that much funnier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Alrighty. So final track, the title track, number 10, Suicide Season.
So, I'm really conflicted about this song because I think that it's emotional and passionate, and I think that like it's important to have included here. But I also really believe that like the end of an album is super important, and it should wrap up everything you've done. And this feels just like a, hey, I wish I had my friend back. That's how we're ending the album. Like, there's a whole lot more going on in place here in this album than this song provides. Um, I like the pained vocals, and I like the synth, and I like the way that this song slows down and really like adds emotion, but it doesn't feel like a rap on this album. And it just kind of, if this had been like the 6th or 7th song in this album, I probably would like it a whole lot more, but just where it sits time wise, it just feels wrong. It just feels like I need one more track to give me a complete whole of everything, and it just sits out of place for me.
It's a very interesting one. I really enjoyed their like overall composition. This is, I mean, like 8 minutes something. This is the longest track that I think I've heard from them until like a much more recent album. Which I mean is not necessarily, which isn't a bad thing, but Ollie does a lot with the lyrics here. I mean, we go from most of these songs, yes, having more lyrics than the first one did, but being at least a little bit shorter, I'd say, a little bit more concise. And this one, he very much kind of wrote a novel, even if a lot of it is instrumental and repetition. They definitely wanted to put a lot of like production value into this one. They have a lot of those synths at the end. That like whole entire like whispering section is very, I guess, I don't know what to call it, like interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it on its place on the album. I do like the song a lot, but I'm not positive if I like it where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know that this works as a good closing track. Like it's fine. The track's not bad. Like I think it's all right. It just sits in a weird place. So I don't have anything else about the album. That's the end of that. I do have a bit of a concert review to kind of go over. If I can remember when the fuck this was. I think it was.
Do you want to rank before you concert review?
Yeah, we can rank really quick. This sits above Count Your Blessings easily.
Well, sweet, short, to the point. Yeah, no, I absolutely adore this album. This is absolutely like, this will be a top 3 Bring Me the Horizon album. It's probably a top 25 album for me of everything that I listened to through high school. Like easily above Count Your Blessings. I guess like my qualm is that like I don't want this album again. If Bring Me the Horizon released Suicide Season 2 and they just remade this album, I'd be kind of upset, to be honest with you, because I think their sound has evolved beyond this point. But I like, again, playing this live, I would get absolutely hype. Giving me more songs that sound similar to this, I'd be absolutely hype. But this album is one of my favorites only because it existed when and how it existed. If they never do it again, I'll be super satisfied that this existed, and that's all I need.
Yeah, this one will be going above Count Your Blessings. I know that out of us, I know I probably have the highest interest in deathcore related stuff, but this I love this. This is just kind of a metalcore classic, honestly. Well, a metalcore classic for like the late 2000s. And I think by then metalcore had already been kind of like established, but like this really kind of put it into like a much more of a mainstream kind of spot. I mean, this is a Bring Me the Horizon's a UK band, and they actually got big over here too. It took them a little bit longer to get popular over here, but they did it eventually, which is not super common when it comes to these like smaller metal bands. At least not anymore. But yeah, this one was a really really fun metalcore album. It'll be difficult. This will be a very difficult final ranking once we get to it, because it's gonna be really hard to put a couple of these albums above each other.
Yeah, I think I already know what my rankings are going to be up to Sempiternal. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm not really familiar with anything after that, so I think I might have a harder time trying to decide how things are ranked once we get to, like, That's the Spirit and everything after that. But I think, like I said, up to Sempiternal, it'll be pretty easy to rank things, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so concert review. I saw Mastodon and Gojira last week. Lorna Shore opened up for them. Saw them at USANA Amphitheater here again. Been going there quite a bit recently. That's like twice in a row. The last concert I went to was Ghost, and that was also there. I had really fucking good seats. So the way that this place works, the way that they price their seats, kind of the further up to the front you get, the more expensive it is. I didn't pay $350 to go in the pit, but I was very close. I was like 8 rows from the very front. Got some really solid seats. Lorna Shore opened up. We covered them previously on the last series. We did one of their, I guess, EPs. It was pretty short. They did like mostly tracks from that. Like they could have easily played the whole thing, and then they just didn't.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
But I'd say that they had a really good set. I feel like the audience kind of got more into them near the end of the set, and they were like kind of hyping everybody up as they went, and like there's not really a big spot in the front for there to be a pit, but people certainly tried. Which
did they play to the Hellfire?
Let me pull up the set list really quick. It was pretty short, so I can tell you every song that they played.
Yeah, because that one is the one that people always, that when I went to a concert with them, people were all already pretty hyped for them, but that one was like the one that got everyone up to like start dancing. It was
so they did Sun Eater, Cursed to Die, Into the Earth, and then Pain Remains 1 through 3.
Oh, okay, they did do Pain Remains. I was going to say, I think they've been doing the Pain Remains 1 through 3 a lot.
But yeah, they were really cool. Yeah. It was rad seeing them live. Gojira was up next. First time seeing these guys. They kind of had like a bunch of fog being piped in, but since it was outside and it was also really windy that day, it kind of made this cool atmosphere with like the wind flying everywhere, and there was like pyrotechnics and confetti and shit, and it was like really cool visuals in the background. They played, of course, Flying Whales and Silvera, and it was really hype. There was a moment where the drummer did like a solo, and so he'd play for a little bit and then wait for the audience to react and then do it again. And then at some point he... Oh, okay, bye.
R.I.P. Conley.
Bye, Conley. Hello, Conley.
Welcome back.
That was okay. My fucking disc crashed. That was weird.
Okay. It's talking about the drummer for Gojira doing like a solo thing. At some point, he takes out a cardboard sign that says... I can't hear you or something, and so he does it again, and people go crazy, and he pulls out another sign that says "fuck yeah" on it, and everyone goes crazy. And then when they finish their set, he comes out and he's like, 2 words, "fuck yeah," and then walks off.
I loved seeing Gojira live specifically because their set was built for an audience. The first time I saw them was part of like a tiny little metal festival, for lack of a better word. They played like a 45-minute set, and I believe that like only 10 minutes of it was actual songs instead of them just making music on stage to be hype. Like it was a really cool experience. So super jealous you got to see them.
Also saw Mastodon for the second time. I'm not a huge Mastodon fan, but I can say that their live shows are are worth going to see, even if you're like not super familiar with their whole catalog. Very similar to last time. All of their visuals, I was way too sober for any of the shit that they had going on, but it's exactly the kind of shit that I would see, like, if I'm stoned out of my mind and I close my eyes for any amount of time. Like, that's the kind of visuals that they have going on, and it's great. They played Blood and Thunder as the closing track. Really good set. Just, I think my one complaint is that they never play my favorite track off of Crack the Sky, which is Oblivion. But they did play Divination, so it's all right, I guess. But yeah, overall, show is really fucking good. I think they've finished up the tour by now, but hopefully you got to see them. It looks like September 2nd was their final date. Oh yeah, we were the second to last date, and then they went to Colorado, and that was it. So hopefully you saw them if they were in your neck of the woods. If not, RIP, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. If you guys got nothing else, we can wrap up here.
That's it.
So next week, we'll be listening to and reviewing There Is a Hell, Believe Me, I've Seen It. There Is a Heaven, Let's Keep It a Secret. Excited for that one. It's been a really fucking long time since I've listened to that album all the way through. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Very excited.
Alrighty then. We'll catch you next time then. See you.
Right. Peace.